Good evening. Welcome to the fourth and concluding session of the two-day international webinar on recent trends in biosciences and biotechnology. I extend a warm welcome to all the participants for this fourth session. I take it a great privilege to welcome the resource person of this session, Dr. Balamuralikrishnan. Dr. Balamuralikrishnan is the Assistant Professor, Department of Food Science and Biotechnology, Sejong University, South Korea. A very warm welcome, sir, for the two-day international webinar. We are looking forward to hear your valuable information. He works on animal husbandry. His main focus is on the feedstock for the animals grown for human consumption. The nutritional supply for the animals dictates the quality of the meat that is meant for human consumption. We are looking forward to hear your valuable information, sir. So once again, I welcome Dr. Balamuralikrishnan for the webinar.
Of research. So I feel it's a good opportunity to get share, and I can gain some knowledge from you people also. So I thank everyone, and Chairman Professor Varalakshmi Anandkumar, and convener and organizing secretary from Queen's Mary College, Professor S.Karpagam and Professor VetriSelvi and Professor Sejong. So thank you everyone. So we just move on our slides. So hope you all guys seen my slide, right? So it's okay, sir, fine?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine, sir.
So don't if there are some students, it means is there a topic what we are going to talk next 1 hour. So it don't be complicate much more thing. I just share about what I'm doing here and what kind of issues on the research-based science. Initially, I did food science, why I'm choosing and what are the benefits behind this research area. It's kind of entrepreneur research. So usually they always think research means wearing a lab coat and using pipette and microbes, blah, 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 blah. But somewhat, whatever it may be, we need to earn money, and the final goal should be earning, life, settle, everything, right? So life science, especially on the animal nutrition, is kind of entrepreneur research area. So that's why I choose basically I'm a human genetist. Maybe here I quite brief introduction about myself. So actually I did my master and pre-doctoral degree in Coimbatore Bharatiya University. So after that for a PhD, I moved in South Korea. So I did my doctorate in South Korea itself. Usually I'm a human genetist in Bharatiya University, but I'm quite interested on food science. So that's why I changed my research area. But however, I just collaborate all of them till now. So here are my academic history and all. So where I am and so where I'm working, and there are some visited countries recently. And right now I'm working in Sejong University. So hope Dr. Raj already discussed about our university. Might be in the morning session, he explained a lot about Sejong. So how brief introduction about my university. It's a quite oldest university in Korea. So it started from 1940 itself. So right now it's ranked on 19th in the Asia, and we are reaching around 400 to 50 ranking in the world. So it's good too for mechatronics as well as life science. So we have a quite good lab system as well. So then I'm working on the wild research biological science. So I'm just curious about what we are going to talk about this conference means, trend of bioscience and biotechnology. That will be a suitable topic what I am going to talk here. So that the research should be always trend in manner. So now maybe you guys know about COVID and all, right? So the main thing within a 6 month, there are a lot of publications on COVID. So that means, so research should be on a trendy manner. What is going on in trend nowadays in the world? So the topic, the webinar would be nice. So the trends on bioscience and biotechnology. So this field of animal nutrition is always trend. So why? Because my research area should be on poultry nutrition and meat science and as well as natural products, bioactive compound synthesis. So these are all like I did some my own interest to doing natural products from plant extract and bioactive compound synthesis to how we can interact with animal science in my major. So that's what uh, normally we have some addiction, right? Some people have a coffee addict, some people have a cigarette, some people have a movie addiction. So I recommend to all of you addict with the publications. So it's uh, we have to addict with someone. That means keep going on addict with publications. So make your paper. So whatever it may be, the study should be without any similarity index, no other plagiarism report. So it can be a small or big, not a matter. So just to do whatever you want within a short period, make a publication. Then no need to explain whom you are. So we can explain, just Google it, my name, and you can see about myself. So that's what the publications speak about ourselves. The publications speak about researchers. So nowadays, most of the students to hesitate to join PhD in India because the reason is take a long time, but it's worthy. So somewhat make a, if you need a diamond, it's need to wait a long time, right? So that's the same issue on hoping here. So let's just moving on. Might be I'm just talking about on swine nutrition here. So it's similar with poultry and animal science. So if you guys in between, if you have any questions, just interact with me in between the sessions. So no matter and all. Even though you have to note it your questions and also, we can discuss whatever it may be. So in between, if you wish, no problem, interact at any time. So the outline, what I'm going to do next 1 hour, I'm not going to make a boring. So just take a cup of coffee and just share with us. So the why we need to talk about swine nutrition. So what's the important itself, and what are the diets we are using for animals, and what are the challenges in nowadays with animal nutritionists, and what is antibiotics. Maybe some people is because I feel so happy because the might be it will be a new field to all, I think, because I would like to share this kind of research work in India itself. So especially in our state, because it's very few things in our state like kind of animal nutritionist. But the animal nutrition in India, it's very entrepreneur researchers, so you can get more job and all. Because if we have everything with around us, we don't think about the value about. So everywhere you guys seen about Suguna chicken, right? So this is a like big industry in the world, Suguna, but we don't know the value and worth of those things. So I belongs to those kind of people, and Benki's and so much of industries, feed industries, food industries, and even master students can do a food research in the R&D lab in Suguna, those kind of entrepreneur research workers, because they have a feed and they have animal farm, they have a food production industry, they have a R&D, maybe in the Udmalpet, I think so. So that's what I'm going to talk about. And finally, briefly give some ideas for masters and undergraduate students, as well as some PhD students, it might be useful. So let's go on the main topic, why. So what is the livestock we have to talk about? The term that define the domestication of animals. So we are using the animals from the forest itself for our own purpose, like example beef or dairy, swine, sheep, goat, or poultry, whatever it may be. So domestication of animals for ourselves, the use from ourselves, agriculture or meat product or some other products. That's the term the livestock normally defined as animals, right? Then the domestication of animals means nothing like to adapt animals by use of humans. And why we are domesticating? So simply to perform our work and transportation and food. The main matter of the transportation and work is like kind of agri work, the partial work, but the main motto is the steady food supply. So from the farm to table. So that's what the domestication of animals, the livestock industry, what they are doing. So from the farm to our kitchen table. So that's what the livestock of animals. And I'm basically from a non-ruminant nutritionist. So I did my doctorate on non-ruminant nutrition. And what is that non-ruminant and ruminant? So the livestock animals normally classified on based on two types, ruminant and non-ruminant. So we are all non-ruminant animals. So non-ruminant has been a single stomach animals. So simply ruminant, we just compare with cow. Cow is like a ruminant. So maybe these are the ruminant animals like cattle, goats, sheep, and bison, elements, and those kind of issues. So they are not a single stomach animal. So they have a four stomach abomasum, those like divide their stomach divided into four sections. But in the section of non-ruminants, for example, poultry, mouse, rabbit, monkeys, human. So we are all non-ruminant, like monogastrics. So the monogastric means mono means single, and gastric is the stomach, right? So single stomach animal. So that's what I did my doctorate on swine and poultry itself. So the single stomach animals always should be a monogastrics. That's why the medical field they are using animal model as a pig and mouse, because they are similar digestive tract system to humans. So that's just explain. And animal husbandry. So what is mean of husbandry? So the branch of agriculture science. So the agriculture science should be not only on crop production. So even though the animal production, including the agriculture science. So the term will be livestock agriculture science. So it's important field in the upcoming challenging world. So the husbandry is nothing mean taking care. Maybe all of the professor women's, right? They are taking care of someone. So what's the term? The husband is behind the husband. It means taking care of someone. So that's why the term husband. The animal husbandry means taking care of animals. That is animal husbandry. So we should follow the guidelines and all. We do not give any more stress for the animals. So even we just going to kill finally the animal for the meat production. But in between that life period, according to the law, we should not make a stress them. So it's affect us in the meat production itself. So we should follow the animal husbandry rules and regulation. So the proper feeding of animals, proper shelter, and proper care and proper breeding. So simply there's animal husbandry. So the common functions today's society. So that's what I said, from the farm to kitchen table. So the converting grain and the roughage into meat. Usually we are eating more vegetables and more grains, right? Based on our country itself, that's the food style itself. So we are eating more vegetables and all. But in here, they give corn or soya to the animal and eat animals. So that's simply what the abroad people they are doing. We are eating corn and soybean and rice, wheat, everything. But here, those proper eaten by animals, they make animals and eat animals. So converting grain and roughage into meat to our tables. This picture is like the Korean traditional food. So just I want to show of people to how the Korean food style will be on. This might be a festival kind of food, but normally we have all of those things. why we need to talk about food and more, right? So food should be medicine. Might be nowadays we are talking about so much of antibiotics, antiviral agents, and making anti-inflammatory agents, blah 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 blah. But everything should be on food itself in our country. So same, quietly similar with Korean food stuff. You guys can see like this is the famous Korean chicken uh, menu, but it's like kind of very oldest traditional food. We have dates and some other root, chinsak root. It's a highly medicinal purpose. They are making all itself and then boil and roughly eat. It's quite tasty. And this one is like pig intestine. And these are maybe you guys heard about because nowadays the people watching Korean drama and all, right. So this one is kimchi, the famous term. I think hope you all know, like pickle in our country. Whatever the menu will be, kimchi is there always. And these are raw fishes, salmon and all. We just eat self it's raw. And this one is cooked. Might be the moral fish, right? And these are like Korean traditional pizza, like dosa. So why I show this picture means there is no meal without meat in here, because we are eating. If Sunday or Saturday we just go down the meat shop and make our own kg or mutton or 1 kg of chicken, we eat occasionally and eat fully. So what if we take 1 kg mutton, we can eat 2 people, right? But in here, every menu have a meat. So even morning breakfast or like sandwich itself or drink itself, there is some kind of meat inside. So without meat, there is no meal in Korea. So that's why I would like to show this food menu to all you. And here itself, like what kind of product from animal we are having, like biscuits and coffee, milk. So this one is Korean famous milk, like Seoul milk. So it's like everywhere. It's quite expensive to compare than other milk. And you can see, yeah, there is like the marking will be A1 and A2. So we will talk about later what's the issues. And meat and cheese and meat product. Maybe we are omitting this area in our country, right? The legs of chicken, but in here, it's famous for drinkers and famous and traditional food style like chicken egg. It's quite tasty. And world meat consumption. So why I'm talking much about meat and all, right? As I said before, there is no meal without meat. So let's see about the meat consumption around the world. So it's the image shows from 2012 itself. So you can see about the consumption of pig is around 36 percentage, right? So around 35 percentage poultry. So the biggest, not largest meat consumption is pork, and the second most poultry, and then mutton and all, and third most is beef itself. But the problem would be some of religious issue behind on the meat itself. So the poultry meat is common in the world. There is no restriction on religious issues, so it will be more more consumed meat among the world. But so it's on the 2012 itself, but 2018, so it's increased. But chicken, they reduced their meat consumption because the protein content compared than pork meat and chicken meat, it will be much higher than pork. So it's around 40 percentage of meat consumption in the world. And then the second most is chicken and beef. So remaining of mutton and goat. Well, in our country, the mutton and goat, it will be quite more meat consumption. And that's what they're demanding. So it means the meat consumption will be increased every year. There is no reduction growth rate. It's always increasing. So it's meaning demanding meat on the world, because meat, it should be a part of all the menu. So we have to fight against to produce more meat production. So if meat production means we need to balance agriculture lifestyle also. So if we are increasing meat production, we should increase our crop production itself. Because in Korea, they are importing the animal food sites, like for example, they are importing soybean meal for poultry or pork from Brazil as well as in India. So because we are rich in soybean production. And here the shows the feed survey around the world itself. So you can see the growth rate should be reduced from the 2000 itself. The largest feed production from Asia, like you can see, yeah. So around 363.2 tons, metric tons of feed consumption every year. So this is the Asia will be a largest feed production continent among the world. Maybe you can see from North America and South America, Europe. So there are very less amount. But in the Asia, especially China and India, so it will be much increased because they are exporting feed industry around all the world. So the changes in the meat consumption. So you can, this graph shows how the changing meat consumption from the 1980s to, so it will predict on 2030. So just simply explain means is gradually increased every year. Maybe it's quietly reduced on 2000 itself, but it doesn't matter. But it's gradually increased every year, so the demanding will be increased. So we are fighting. The animal nutritionists have a challenging to enhance the meat production and the meat consumption compared with the developing and developed countries. So here you can see how the monogastric animals and ruminant animals, that means like beef, and monogastric means just compared with all the animals. So simply says all the graphs should be assumed that predicted that the meat consumption will be all in the growth rate of enhancing that. There is not a reduction rate. So here the growth in all species. So we can see the in developed countries and developing countries. So the beef and pork, poultry, meat consumption. So you can see the poultry will be more always increasing because that's the reason behind in the developing countries, because there is not any religious restriction on poultry industries. So, but we are going to talk about the pork meat itself. So why and we choosing pork? That's what I said in the previous slides. So here is the explanation about 100 gram of poultry and the chicken meat, how the calories will be having and how the protein content will be. So you can compare then all the grams and the cholesterol, how much cholesterol is contained and how much cholesterol contains chicken breast. So that's why the pork meat is more accounting followed by poultry and beef itself. And according to the agriculture survey, so in South Korea, the meat pork consumption, so it will be increasing every year from the 2013 itself. So however, last 2 years, the China and the United States will be in the higher rate, but 2018, these are very newly, after 2016, Serbia and the Montenegro, it will be increased more meat consumption, like pork consumption. You can see the graph, right? From the 2015, there is very lesser than other people like the European Union, China, and Taiwan. But after 16, it will be dramatically increase the meat consumption. But in the 40 list, there is no India, right? Because we doesn't consume much amount of pork itself, but it's good high rich source protein because I never been a taste of pork or beef or anything else before when I came here South Korea, but we have to eat all the meat itself, but it's quite good for our health itself. And the feed production, so this is like I said, even the meat consumption should be increased, the production of feed will be reduced. So there are some challenging itself, right? We don't have a food for animal. So what should we do? like what should the animal nutritionist should do. So there is some challenge to recover of meat production with less feed industry. So that's what I said, like cost of production. So this image is not a simple thing to produce animal farm. It's a highly challenged one. So it's the cost will be more than like 56% will be on feed cost. So the profit will be very less. So the 100, so the operating cost and the fixed labor and these are, so the feed cost will be more higher to produce meat. So the consumer highly affected on the feed cost. So the animal nutrition is help to reduce this problem to solve the issue of feed cost and how we can improve the animal product with less feed. So that's what the challenge. So what is that alternative? So that's what I questioned about alternative of antibiotics. So what do you think about antibiotics? Like, so development of antibiotics, why is important and all. So this question should be the alternative thing. What is that? So simply antibiotics, in the animal industry. Sorry. So the questions of animal nutrition to reduce the voluntary feed intake and reduce the performance. The performance means increase the body weight. So it will be without antibiotic it reduce, no. So antibiotic can help growth promoters. So perform of growth, like increase the body weight, it will be helps and reduce the pathogenic in the gut itself. So it helps, and so that's why the antibiotic resistance and residual. So there are some problem on this issue. So the consumers face the economical loss, and alternatively, we have to give something else similar with antibiotics. So that's the question mark. So animal nutritionist, so the focused on dietary needs of domestic animals. So primarily those who are all in agriculture and food production. So normally on hope some of zoology student is there in the lecture. Might be it will be very help. You guys can do, if you are a master students, you can choose animal nutritionist for your doctorate. Is much trendy field in the life science. So the major class of nutrients is all right. So carbs, fat, fiber, protein, and vitamin minerals and water itself. So water is much important in the nutrients itself. So what about the antibiotics? So simply the antibiotics will be a growth promoters. So they have a growth promoting and disease fighting capability. So that's why we are using antibiotics. The problem will be still we are using antibiotics, but in the animal industry, they ban antibiotics for growth promoters. So in the EU regulation, like European Union regulation on 2001 itself, not exactly the year, they banned antibiotics to produce growth promoters in animals, whatever, like beef, pork, poultry, or goat, anything. So they banned antibiotics. So that's why the consumer faced the economical loss. So antibiotics simply they use increase the growth performance, reduce the pathogenic effect, and reduce the complication of bacteria with cost. So that's the simply explanation about antibiotics. So animal industry, like livestock industry, they are using more than 15 years as a growth promoters to improve the food utilization and reduce the motility and increase the growth rate. But the problem when it starts from the resistance of antibiotics. So how the antibiotic resistance will happen from the animals, or like direct or indirect? This will be oftenly will be happen, but the most cases will be on egg, milk, or meat, right? So this the way the antibiotic resist to humans and they will be affected. So that's why the European Union stops the antibiotics as a growth promoter. We can use medicine itself, but as a growth promoter, we never used in, in South Korea, it's highly banned. If the people finding, they just seal the farm and they can not do any more after that. So concern of using antibiotic as a growth promoter, they ban. So it's on 2006 itself. So maybe on 2018, South Korea continues the rules strictly. However, in India, still there is no ban of antibiotics in livestock industry. That's the question about how safe of meat eating in India. But still, I know that like most of the entrepreneur industry, like Venkis, Godrej, Sukunas, they are using restricted amount of antibiotics because they cannot export meat with antibiotic resistance because they are checked with in the food R&D lab. They are checking antibiotic itself. If you are finding in the meat, they just denied to export. But in officially there is no ban of antibiotic in India, so that's what it's not highly recommended of broiler chickens in our country, but it's in South Korea it's like quite safe because they have a limitation and restriction of antibiotics as a growth promoters. That's why maybe it's kind of myth, right? Like a broiler, they are growing 42 days in a is highly medicines, but like you guys hearing those news, it's not good for health, but it's not like that. You can eat whatever you want, but it should be on the proper manner, and it should be on the keep regulation and follow the regulations. So it's highly recommended to eat all the meats, whatever. So it's simply what I said, like summarize those things. So antibiotics helps to pathogenic incidence and growth performance. If the ban will be happen, the reduced growth performance and pathogenics. So we need to find out the alternative of antibiotics. So similar comparison of antibiotics, like same quality of matter, and it will be reduce the economic loss from the consumers. So soybean meal. The next one is that's the antibiotic alternative. The same thing, soybean meal. So why the people choose in soybean meal? It depends on the country manner. For example, in Canada, they are using cassava meal. So what they are having? So cassava, they are producing the cassava production in Canada. It will be more, and there are some people in the Europe they use ryegrass, and in the North America they're using wheat meal. So however in the India and Korea itself, China, they are using more soybean meals because we are having more. And the another thing is that the protein ratio will be more higher, and it's have a high ratio of essential oil and lysine availability and the varied nutrient quality, source of protein source, and less than non-starch polysaccharide. So that's the NSP. Compared then wheat, ryegrass, cassava meals, the non-starch polysaccharide should be very lesser than other meals. So that's why they are using like soybean meal. Why they are using, the reason behind this, the things. So now the non-starch polysaccharide might be the role of nutrient. Hope you guys know that, like carbs and protein, polysaccharide and all, right? So non-starch polysaccharide is quite difficult to digest what in human itself. So you can apply with ourselves. So what I talk, the antibiotics and soybean meal diet and itself, it can apply itself. So in the younger people, they have some problem to digest non-starch polysaccharide. We need some enzymes to digest, enzymes to break down the non-starch polysaccharides. So the palatability, that means like the taste of food, it will be quite good on soybean meal. But the cost effective of fiber and digestibility is question mark. So that's the two question marks. The alternative of antibiotics and the alternative of the cost effective fiber digestibility. However, we need to some material like probiotics or prebiotics or enzymes to digest NSP in soybean meal. So that's what feed additives should be introduced in livestock industry. So what is feed additive? The additive means not mixing with like what's that exactly, to make coffee brine with soil, not like that. This kind of feed additive to help to increase the growth performance and equal quality of antibiotics. So that's why feed additives introduced in livestock industry, and the general aspects, it should be a grow faster, better, and healthier, same as antibiotics. But we should not use to allow antibiotics. That's why we are moving a feed additive by a natural manner, prebiotic or probiotics. Probiotics mean like microorganisms, right? So the microorganisms have a beneficial one and bad one, like harmful or pathogenic or beneficial microbes, for example, lactobacillus, so those things. So it should be improve the gut function and reduce the diarrhea incidence, so decrease the motility area. So these are, I said before, the role of antibiotics, right? So the feed additive should be recover the general aspects of antibiotics. So the utilization of feedstuff should be an effective digestive physiology and the impact on gut microbiome. And diet formulation strategies should that allow a better utilization, and fibers may have positive. The final goal should be improve our gut health. So that's a simple manner. So to digest, so our target feed additives should be on small intestine to enhance the gut health. So if our gut health will be a good, the growth performance automatic will be increased. So for example, some people have always have a dehydration and diarrhea itself and acculation, so gastric acculation, everything, right? So if we maintain our gut to be healthy, so we will be a healthy man. So researchers as well as agriculture consumers and animal nutritionists should be think globally. So I just quote this always today in my life every day, whatever in manner, not only in the research. So think global, act smart. So that's like act locally. The benefit, like smart thing of Indian people, we always do something smart way of hard things. So that's why we can survey around all over the world. You can find every country there are some Indian people, especially from southern part, especially from Tamil Nadu, because they act as smartly. If, for example, Koreans, they are doing very simple things too hardly, but we can do it very in the smart manner. So that's why I always quote this one to students as well as friends. So think globally and act smart. So that's what the two questions about alternative of antibiotics and what are the feed additives should be an alternative one. So here, like my decide the projective idea about animal nutritionist. So we can apply in poultry itself or cow, like in the dairy industry and whatever. Even like if sometimes it's quite hard with all the large animals in our country, even like in the botany students or zoology students, you guys can apply the small study with mouse or rat. So it's quite easy to do that, right? So you do not go for a big animals because it's one trial, it will be very expensive one. In our cost effective, maybe is for one trial, it's consume around 6 to 7 lakhs for one animal trial in swine industry. So we can go for a mouse trial. So we can assume that this will be good in the animal health and apply with, like you can collaborate with foreign countries people and to them, because we have a lot of feed additives in our country, like garam masala. What are all the garam masala they are now focusing, because they are very good prebiotics like curcumin, ginger, and green leaf, everything they are using as a feed additive here. So we are in my project, I am applying all those things in my projects. So it will be good. What this picture shows, So just imagine this the feed additive, and it going enter to the small like animal itself. So what will happen? So mostly protective, like normally feed additives just go inside, and sometimes it's get loose in the mouth and stomach itself. But we are using, I'm targeting on protective feed additives. So something covered my feed additive. So I used lipase. So lipase, it kind of enzymes. So it can like lipase can break down this coat, means what I'm using. So lipids, I'm using natural plant source lipid material to enhance my feed additives. And then it's entered into the my target mainly on small intestine. So simply imagine feed, and it's entered into the stomach and the first part of small intestine, duodenum. So they start released from small intestine, because the lipase mostly present on small intestine. However, the stomach itself quietly digested, but my product complete released in small intestines. So that's what my target here. So that's a protective feed additive is more trending in animal industries nowadays. So what are the mode of actions and the protective additives? So the main action and main target should be on small intestine. So inhibit the increase of pathogenic microorganisms and improve the body weight gain and enhance the feed conversion ratio. It's mean like enhance the feed income, feed enhancing, feed consumption. So because we are having very less feed, so but we need the more body weight. So that's what is quite mode of actions of feed additives, and reduce the pH values by releasing hydrogen ions in the stomach, thereby the activating pepsinogen to form pepsin and improving protein digestibility. So this is the enzyme of, I'm just using these terms if we are using enzymes and all. And the alternative of growth promoting antibiotics, the common thing, probiotics, prebiotic, phytobiotics. So all the botanical students can use all your project or master project. You guys can use like phytochemical analysis some plant products, and then GC analysis from the plant products, and finally we can compare what the component inside is there is quite of quietly as a prebiotics can apply with animals. So firstly in vitro, and then go with in vivo. Then you just tie up with any foreign countries and make your network and do the animal nutritionist. Is even though in our country we can good source of animal nutrition from Salem, Udumalapete, and Madras Veterinary Colleges, right? So these are the two things, what the important of antibiotics and what are the alternatives of feed additives, why we need to use and how we are using. So let's talk about pig management and feeding programs. So why we need to talk about pig, like in the initial stage I using that pig logo of saving simple, right? I don't know why the bank systems they are using big simple for saving money, right? So from my knowledge, because it's very fast earning animal, because it's borrowing one time around 15 to 20 nurse picklets, baby pigs we can get one time. So it's 1 year, it the one pig can get 50 piglets we can get. So it's money earning animal in the short period compared than other animals, even like dairy or poultry. So that's why their simple should be on the saving system. They're using pig simple. So that's what I'm quite interesting on the pig management and feeding program. And in the around the world, it's very huge research area. If you are an animal nutritionist, then the Europe and the Canada and Australia and America, it's like big industry is there, because they have a separate section for a livestock agriculture industry. You are a wanted people if you are a good publication with animal nutritionist. And we I'm not going all the pig management. So just now I'm talking about only a weaning pig. So in the pig life cycle from the mother pig. So they are showing us sow, like like this one from the sow means like this one is mother pig, and the weaning piglets it's a baby pig, and then in between crowing and finishing. So it's almost around 3 to 4 months. So be done. So from the baby pig itself to for the meat slaughtering house, it takes only 3 to 4 months. So we can get around 110 kg of animal within 4 months. Fastly growing animal. But the very challenging ones to maintain weaning stage. So just compare with ourselves, how we are growing babies. So if we have a son, we have babies in our home, how we are growing them. Because that 1 to 5 age is quite hard to maintain babies, right? So the first 6 months should be an exclusively breastfeeding. So that's what I highly recommend for a nutritionist for human health, because there is no alternative of breast milk in the babies, right? Because doctors recommended that like exclusively breastfeeding. That means first 6 months there is no water, there is no food, only breast milk. So only feeding of mothers from milk should be high rich source for diet for babies. And then the next 6 months on the we can give formula feed or whatever it may be, and then it's going to be a weaning stage. So that's the stage should be very hard to challenging one, to milk to hard food, and taking the environment, like gut environment should be changed from the liquid food to hard food. So that's the stage we are handling, or weaning stage, the one of the most stressful even in pig life. So removal from the mother and increase the exposure of pathogen. So transition diet, that's what like liquid to hard diet, and transportation. So the moving and fighting established. So change in environment. So what are the objective of piglet management? So the minimize, so somewhat might be the zoological students is quite good to this section like management system. So if guys are interesting, we can do a research on animal management in our college itself. So the minimize pre-weaning mortality and maximize growth rate and maximize optimum and post-weaning performance. So the guiding goals and designing feedings programs for weaner pig and everything. You have quite smooth transition of low cost diet and need a maximum feed intake. So biology of pigs. So these are the feeding program to maintain weaning piglets, and the feed intake of newly weaned piglets. So it should be on sow piglets 12 times a day, and on the sow piglets eat together. These are the challenging things what we are handling on weaning management. And the digestive capacity, that's what I told you, the compare with our babies. So the digestive capacity, how it's effective from the mother feeding to some food, liquid to hard food. So that's maybe we are using curd, right? To start feeding our babies, we are using after mother feeding, to start mixer and like fruits or apple or bananas, we are just mixing with and then make a solid, semi-solid, and giving to the babies. So that's the creep feeding. So creep feedings to stimulate feed intake of weaning piglets. So during with mother, we are giving yogurt or some other semi-solid food to piglet to learn to hard diet. So liquid diet to hard diet, that is very quite challenge to on the animal management. And practical management should be in less than 2 weeks of age, feed fresh and frequently. For example, they are not eating much on the single time. So the babies eat, for example, we are the mother feeding on the first 6 months for one day, like 2 hours once or 3 hours once. That's what I like frequent diet they need, right? So the babies need frequent diet a day. So same as baby pigs need frequent diet, small frequent diets. So it's quite challenging one. So feed should be accessible. So it should be fresh always. If there is remaining, we should just clean up and make a new feed and all. So pre-feed intake a positive effect on post-weaning feed intake. And the practice of phase feeding. So after that challenging, we can use divide the stages of feeding, like first 2 weeks this kind of diet, the next 2 weeks this kind of a diet. Like they are very sense of smells. They are using mm, chocolate flavor or milky flavor diet. So it's quite expensive of in the pig's life cycle. Um, Piglet feed is quite expensive than others because like baby's formula feed in the bottle, similarly we are using like fine powder, chocolate flavor or milk flavors. So it's we are dividing in the phase. So first 2 weeks starter without soybean meal because it's high on non-starch polysaccharides. So it's hard to digest. So like for example, lactose intolerance and galactose intolerance. Similarly, they are very hard to digest. So that's why first week we just omit the soybean meal and rapid changes of digestive tract and nutrient requirement. So after that, we just change based on the age of nutrient requirement. So like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So first week around 5 to 7 kg. So usually the pig maybe on a 1 kg should be a good healthy. So and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So these are the phase feeding for nursery pigs. So we are using with the mother 27 days or 21 days. After that weaning stage and then growing, finishing slaughter. So that's what the pig life within 4 months. And the ingredients of weaner diets. So what are the ingredients on the phase feeding? So animal proteins include like fish meal, dried whey, spray dried or protein plus. These are we are using on the initial stage. So in the later stage, the fish meal have resistant to meat, same as antibiotic resistant. For example, if we have festivals, we are buying a big goat at 1 week before and we feeding, but sometimes they are feeding neem leaves on the goat. So if they're eating much neem leaves before cutting the goat meat, we can feel on the neem on the meat itself, right? So that's why we have to make a sense of animal nutritionist on the face size. So we does not use fish meal on the end stage. So initially we are using fish meal because it's have a resistance on the meat itself. And the phase 3, usually vegetable protein, soybean meal or canola meal, and carbohydrate sources, so like high rich sources to enhance the gut health to transmit liquid to hard diet. And these are the potential feed additives, so herbs, essential oil, probiotics. These are I used in my projects. So however, those other feed additives, it's quite a vital roles in animal industry. So the typical diets of task to pick the source and reports from the Kansas State University is on the United States. So the soybean meal will be a good source of starter feed compared than blood plasma, fish meal, blood meal, whey, fat premix. So you can see the secreted weaning period in the pair like it around how they are improving growth performance. And examples of nursery pig diet like pre-starter, starter, so how it will be increase the body weight range. So you can see the soybean will be much important then. So the 47% means like crude protein level. They are using soybean meal with 47 or 24 crude protein level. And the technical level, they are using housing, nutrient. So these are the biological weaning stress like intestinal changes, immunological changes, and behavioral changes. How we separate from mother, how make they are stressful with other animals. So it's all getting fighting each other, and usually we are castrated animals during picklets, nursery picklets and tail cutting. So it's the animal husbandry management will be quite interesting to talk, but it will be take a long time. So I'm just moving on highlight what the important one. So the protective feed additive in the technological way. So incubate the pathogens to improve the healthy life, to make a happy lifestyle. So we are not going to make a happy means the question will be, finally we are going to slaughtering, right? So it should be on without any stressful manner always. And this report shows the beta is on my publications. It's my doctorate work. So the beta minus supplementation on fecal microflora. So what? So this I just saw on how the gut health will be effective on enzymes. So it's kind of a feed additive, like beta mananus and on the weaning pigs. So you can see the growth of E. coli and lactobacillus. So it's around 42 days experiment. So here the probability value should be increased. So beta mananus improve the lactobacillus growth and reduce the E. coli level. So that's what I just want to show. And it means it's reduced the E. coli means it can reduce the diarrheal score. If diarrheal score will be reduced, that means it's improved the gut health. So improve the gut health, it enhance the growth performance. The final stage will be a good meat product. And fecal microflora. So it's nothing but like fecal microbe. We just analyze from the fecal what are the microbes inside them. And this will be a probiotics on crowing and weaning pigs. This is also from my publications. Here I am using the enhanced protective feed additive. Right? So protective feed additive, it can be I'm using organic acids and essential oil. Use the technique with I just tie up with one Korean company, and they are producing a new product with micro encapsulator. Like encapsulation means like just cover the feed additive. What I said on the earlier stage, right? I'm using lipids by using cover the feed additive to target on small intestines. So however, it's enhance and reduce the diarrhea scores and enhance the gut health. And this one is multi-species. So I just compared. This one is a single species. But however, a single microorganism is effective one. But some probiotics have a good effective with mixed one. So that's what I did this work, like multi-species probiotics is combined with bacillus, different kind of styles. So how it's affect on gut health and diarrheal growth in the guinea pigs. So the main overall thing, what those studies choose, increase the flexibility and enhance the effectivity of management of gut health, and with the appropriate feed additives on completion. So that's what the studies should, how and feed additives effective on animal nutrition. And overall the work should be study the nutrient requirements and of livestock animals and quality of response, and use the new feed resource in the feed industries and understand of animal behavior to make good animal farming. So that's what from the farm to kitchen table. And the researchers should make a flow chart. This is what I am going to do during my PhD slide. Just organize and survey, make a data, laboratory analysis, report, and make publications and apply with some more projects and all. So however, let's talk about, that's all what I did in Korea, and why we need to talk about those things to Queen's Mary's College with people, right? So I'm just curious and very happy to share about livestock industry with all you people, because we should know what are livestock industry in India, right? The livestock resources. So we are the total buffalo population in the world. India is the first one, and cattle and goats the second country in the world, and third population of sheep, and fifth population of duck and chickens, 10th of camel production around the world. So we are, it's the GDP reports, we are spending 4.11% of GDP and total 25.6% of total agriculture GDP. So this is what the resource, livestock resource in India is not a small thing. So how the animal industry react and involved in our economical source, right? That's what I want like. In the animal feed market segmentation in India. So before that, I just talk about only on South Korea, just going on how it will be affected, like poultry, cattle, and aqua and others. So we don't have any feed for swine itself. So we just only focus on poultry feed, and especially on cattle, we didn't using any meat production mostly. So we are just using dairy cattle because hope you all guys know we are on the first milk production country around the world, right? This is not a simple thing, or we are the first milk production countries. And the feed tonnage. So how much of feed industry we are using? Because I said the Asia is the most production of feed around the world, but India is play a vital role. So you can see around 800, 600 million tons per year. So there is no beef and calf and pig. So we just focusing on the poultry. So layer, broiler, turkeys and all. So layers means egg producing chicken and meat production chicken. So just simply. And the top 9 countries of 2019. So number of millions. So what are the countries of feed production? So you can see India will be on 6th place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So layer, broiler, and dairy. So we are on the 6th place of feed production around the world. So that's what I said is like entrepreneur research area in the life science. So you get a lot of wanted persons, people's. You will be a wanted person if you become an animal nutritionist. Whatever, like poultry, cattle, or pork, doesn't matter. So here, how the Asian country and how India will be, how much is that? It's maybe on 2016. So like they are spending broiler and egg laying hens and dairy. So 31.5 millions of metric tons of feed producing every year. So this on Altec survey on 2016, but it's maybe the same one. But on the 2019, just increasing the rates, like around 800, now we are on 1,500. So this means, so the demanding will be increased every year. So the demanding will be increased every country. So we are supporting to the whole country. So that's what the behind the screen, the livestock industry, how reacts in our economical survey. So it's big role. The GDP rate will be always the backbone of Indian economical system based on the livestock industry. So livestock agriculture science in India is not a small one. So that's why I just compare with on 2016 and 2019. Just you can imagine that how much they are importing, they are exporting. So here you can see how much we are spending compared than the animals. So layer and broiler and dairy. So aqua is not much important. So just talk about like production of milk. As I said, like India is the largest producer of milk around the world, and we are producing 13% of total milk produced from the world. So it's a big one. So you can see the milk production from the 2007 to the country. So it's just increasing every day. So there is nothing happened on this field. Even though some we know some engineering or some other doctorate field have this year this kind of course will be very quite getting jobs, and most of the people doesn't getting job in this field. And I'm not going to degrade all the courses like, but I'm just to show off how much enhancing every year. There is no any decrease rate on this field. And then poultry and eggs. So India stands the 5th egg production and 18th meat broiler production. So you know that we are on the very topmost. India means from the Namakkal, we are the toppest state of egg production around the world. If Namakkal will be making problem in the world, it will be high demanding in the world during the egg production. And presently, egg production is estimate 37 billions and broilers this much of ratios. And in India, it will be the prediction on 1996 to 2016. Just see the graphs and all. Just growing on this highway. There is not anything on this way. So the demand of meat in India. So before that we seen about the world demanding meat production and egg production and milk production. And here we are showing about the meat demand of projection about 2020 itself. Everything will be increasing. So we have to fight against those demand projection. So we need to make about something. So that like means animal nutritionist should make about something about demand to resolve these issues. So as a zoologist or an animal science student or animal biotechnology students, you guys take some action. So you will be one of the resource person in the world. So that's it on the livestock industry. So here on I just show off my recent publications on the animal nutritionist itself. So that's what I said, just addict with the publications. So because I'm just quite younger than all of you all, like as young scientists, young researchers. So if I have a much publications means like I would like to make all the networks with all of professors like you. If we have a good chance to hope will we have the pandemic situation will be recovered soon, and we'll be meet directly soon. So we make some collaboration to research publications as well as. So that's what I said. I just make all the country peoples. You can see the authorships from the people. It will be US, China, Russia, Fiji, Saudi. So those kind of will be much good to make a relationship with all the country peoples. So this one on the aqua nutrition. So nowadays I'm just quite interested on aqua itself. So I just start work on the aquas, and you guys have some look around those things. And if you have some doubts on these publications, you can always welcome to email me. And I just show off the recent publications and then just moving on. This one on recent project report, how the mycotoxins involved in our feed industry. Maybe as a botany students, you guys have some potential phytochemicals from the plant extract to act against the mycotoxin produced fungus. So it will be good on the botany. It's not matter only on the crop production. It's involved in by the biological system. So if you have a guys good source of the mycotoxic sequencing agent, nowadays the mycotoxin sequencing agent is very trendy and very challenging in the livestock industry because we couldn't handle those issues. So if you have storage, the feed will be a long time. So nothing. If you have a bread, we can store 3 or 4 days, right? After 4 days, it will be make some fungus on the bread itself. So this is a kind of mycotoxin. The same as in the animal feed, the mycotoxin will be produced. So we are very hard to challenge those things. So nowadays, I'm just plan to the Indian herbals or prebiotics to target on against mycotoxin. So as well as I said, I'm just addicted with research work. So I just tie up with other people, and these are apart from the animal nutritional work. I just some biological, kind of. I'm just beginner on this kind of nanoparticle synthesis and making a biotechnology application, because I would like to those kind of bioactive compounds to involve in animal science, to in vivo and in vitro studies, to act against the pathogenic, against the mycotoxin produced fungus. So especially on the Fusarium, Aspergillus gramineum, or penicillin. Those are mycotoxin produced fungus. So mycotoxin is a group of toxins produced from fungus group like deoxynivalenol, or zearalenone, or aflatoxin, acrotoxins. So those are kind of mycotoxin, no? So it's kind of, we would like to make this products to sequence those kind of fungus enzyme. and it's like and this I just happy to share about these two publications related with recently our research team to make COVID publications. I said like we need to make a timely action. So like act on the time. So there's a chance to publish on the COVID. If you find about COVID research publication around 6 months, it's like more than 10,000. I think because if you think this kind is not a research publication, it's a kind of hypothesis from our research field. So there are like our colleagues, my colleagues from India and as well as from Italy. So we just think about just freely talk one day and we have some idea. So we just make a letter to editor as a hypothesis. So maybe I would like just briefly explain what simply means like platelets. Maybe you have that the platelets simply, right? We know it's the immune system, it's enhanced the immune system usually. But our hypothesis on this editor, we said it might be against our body, the platelets. So that's why we make a questions on this one, on this kind of flow chart that like platelets deregulates degranulation about in our immune system. It enhanced the SARS-CoV virus. It's producing pneumonia and thrombocytopenia in our body. So the lung inflammation is the biggest issues on the COVID, right? So we just talk about those things and make these publications, but quite interesting. So if you have any queries, it's good to know that one. And this one, you guys can do it one. That bioactive compounds derived from the medicinal herbs and just doing the docking study. So just tie up with some bioinformatician. So all the botany students, you guys should, if you have any new herbal product or like active bioactive compound product, just make a compound and make a GC and find out what are the components inside. Just compare with the silico docking bioinform. So you guys tie up with some bioinformatics and compare with. So this part will be a botany students. This part should be a bioinformatician, right? So you can do whatever it may be. So we just do a SARS-CoV protein, but you can do a cancer protein. You can do be a lung cancer or all the cancer type. What the disease you want, we can just compare with protein. This is the time to publish the papers, right? So if you have some part of research work with bioactive compounds, just to do this kind of work and make your paper. And this is the like what I got from the Korean government, the project with I as a young scientist in South Korea. So this is my research project title. So dietary supplementation of natural herbs, essential oil, or probiotics in the livestock. So it's contaminated with mycotoxin. To reduce the effect of mycotoxin in the animal feed, I'm going to use some kind of these things. So it will be quite interesting. So they are curious to get, because the mycotoxin is a trendy word in the livestock industry nowadays. So I'm just focusing on this title and applying. It's good to get. I did almost 2 years finished. So remaining is a 3-year project. So it's going to be finished with one master students in here. And hope you guys know about this one, like Indo-Korean giant prawn. Like, I think from the DST itself, might be it's, the deadline will be closed. So if you guys are interested on that, you can approach with some desired process in Korea, and you can get. It will be good to tie up with India and Korean governments. So it might be from the DST. I hope Dr. Raj already explained about these things. So because he is very enthusiastic to collaborate with the Indian professors as well as foreign. So hope Professor Raj already explained about these things. Yeah, we have to talk about this one, right? Might be there is some political reasons, not at all, but we should know about. We are talking almost on livestock industry, right? So what is the like some myth is there? A1 milk and A2 milk, what is that? So just Google it and simply know it. Like it's based on the casein protein, nothing more than that. So some breed have some kind of protein. So the A1 beta casein or A2 beta casein. So you can, I'm not going to talk about much more about this one. It's simply similar between like histidine protein or beta casein protein. Which one is more important? There is some research that A1 beta, A1 casein can have some health effects, maybe on type 2 diabetics or cardiac effects, some reproductive problem as well as. So it's good to know about this one. Why I am talking, because we are losing so much of breeds in India. As a livestock animal scientist, we should know about this one. Might be a Nellore. Nellore is from, I think, Andhra, right? So we have a breed from, if you find, if you just Google it on Nellore breed, it's going to Brazil. So they have a breed on the name of Nellore, because they said it's from the Brazil, but it's originally from the India, but they don't have any proof on that. But there is only one publications, I think on 1930s itself, they mentioned the breed from India, from the southern part, but they just I think they are just thanks to Indian people to keep that name of Nellore breed, right? So you just Google it about the Nellore breed. It's still on the Brazil breed, but the name on the big end of Nellore. So it's why I means talking about this one. We should have all the resource in our country, and we have to utilize those things, and we have to make publications first, and we have to make a patent about that one. So if you are like curcumin or neem, we doesn't have so much of research. We lose almost lot of things, right? So as you know about like A1 or A2, so if you have any questions that simply answer, the A2 milk will be good for healthy one. The simple answer, it's not have any beta casein protein. So the beta casein protein may help harmful to our body. So it's produce make diabetics, type 2 diabetics or cardio effect, as well as some reproductive system itself. So it's not only from the this kind of breed. So it's a kind of a native breed. So not only from India, Bangladesh or South African breeds have much A2 milk. For example, maybe not in South Korea. If you have if you're going to Europe, they are in the convenience store or marketing, they have a consuming on A2 milk and A1 milk. So they know the value about A2 milk and A1 milk. So that's a simple answer, is that. And yeah, that's it. These are the things. And hope this in our group we have some research students. I just finish it very shortly. Might be it will be boring for research professors. Maybe you guys already know about what those things I'm going to talk, but it's, I'm sure about it, very helpful for research students as well as bachelor or masters. So how to reach a research professional? So if you did a master, so if you like to PhD to in the abroad, so how you have to, what you have to do? So usually we are using Google, right? So there is two, conventional and technical based. So don't use Google anymore. So that's what I'm going to recommend. If you want any so decide your research people, the Google will be answer different. So there is two way, conventional and technical based. So let's talk about that one. So Google will be take the query search, the selection of article, download the article and mail the ID. So this what, so if you want to search the PhD, you should find out the corresponding author, right? So the corresponding author contact you can get from the publications. So they have a email ID on the publications itself. So if you have a Google it, so you can find out some papers and download it and make email ID and send that email ID. So this is the procedure, right? Usually I did when I searching PhD. So I did this way, but after that, from the experience, I got the new way. it might be good to use. So we are going to like any specific university or a specific topic like human genetics or animal nutritionist or botany or some phytochemical analyst, so something. The specific word should be on the Google, right? So the university name or laboratory research and mail ID. So we have all those things. So these are the conventional way. So, but in the technical way, just go on PubMed. So the PubMed will be a disease, like I just mentioned about if maybe a human, if you are finding some human genetic disorder, so like what are the keywords should be on here, the disease name or gene at the university institute. So it shows on the name of author how many paper is there in the PubMed, and we can download it. Maybe you can use this website and just uh, download that PubMed format and extract the email ID. So you can extract a lot of email ID on single click, and then collect all the email IDs and just use it to your searching and to getting PhD and all. So here the PubMed format will be like this, and you can get email here. After extracting email ID, you can get separately. So like this way, how to hypothesis the search, like the PubMed make your desired name and gene and university. So for example, Google and PubMed. So Google, I'm using, this is like MTRR gene in the, somewhat in genetical gene on genetic disorders. So Down syndrome or autism. So a very important role of MTTR gene. So I just type MTTR, the gene name, right? The Cambridge, the university name, right? So I type in the Google. So MTTR Cambridge, type in Google. So the same keyword, MTTR and Cambridge in the PubMed. So what I get, the result shows around 40,000, like 38,000 of results will be occurred on the Google. Might be we have the results on, but we don't need this much, right? But in the PubMed, I get only 2 results, MTTR and Cambridge. So this is my target. So I have 2 publications. So I can get the decide right person with easy. So just imagine 38,000 and only 2. So this is the way of conventional and technical to reach the professional researchers. So if you are using not only for a PhD, so if you are targeting postdoc, if maybe a PhD students doing PhD students, if you want to search a postdoc, you can use it this way. It will be good to use. And this might be in my department. So usually in Korea, there is the very lowest score to record PhD students compared than other countries, because we are just in South Korea, they just come only record 5.5 highest score, so out of 9. So it's very easy to get to reach in Korea, but nowadays it's quite hard, because they are make mandatory for Korean exam after you coming here. But when I'm doing PhD here, there is not mandatory to write a Korean exam. But nowadays, almost all the universities to make Korean exams in South Korea. If a postdoc, if you have a 3 good SCI papers in the first author, it's very easy to find out postdoc in South Korea. And how to reach a professional way. So you know that this is a simple way, but it's about how I'm using to find out professor, postdoc or PhD. So just your subject should be what you are talking. So seeking for postdoc, seeking for PhD. So this is only we are doing normally. But it's instead of this, just include your specialist. So what you are a specialist. So I mentioned like animal handling expertise. So this is the professors make a curious. So we will make a curious to professors
கிளாஸ் இருக்கு முடிச்சுட்டு வரேன்
to read animal expertise. So then the professor, we can get some, what's this? So who was this? Then she will open the email first. So our target, the professor should be open our email. Then the subject line should be denote your expertise. publications and experience. Do not more write story on here. They don't read anything more. So just write 2 or 3 lines here. Don't make a paragraph on here. So this will be disappointed sometimes. They didn't read mostly. And the other thing, we just here enclosed our resume. This is a simple sentence. This should be a must sentence. We just enclose resume attachment and also the paste at the first page of resume. So usually we attach the resume, right? But what I did, I just make a first attachment of my resume on here. Make it curious to the opponent people. Then they will open our resume. The first thing, they have to open the email first to make it curious on the subject line, and the text line to make our CV first page to enhance the curiosity of the opponent peoples. And the most thing to mention, think about how to add value to yourself, not how he add value to you. So this is very important thing. Just write about how to add value yourself, and not how he had. Like for example, if you are taking me, you will be a great and you will be a good publication, and you do not mention like thing and thing. So it should not be a personal. So you don't discuss specifically why you choose to address him, and you don't show how to add value. Those are the very important things. It will be quite interesting to them then. And the final one, to some ideas about research publications. If you have a master students or PhD students, just share with my experience. Might be some professors just excuse those part. So reading and everyday life experience and interaction and discussion and working on projects. So conference, workshops, seminars. These are all the way of getting research ideas from ourselves. So just interact with your colleagues. So just interact with the other country peoples. Just interact with workshop and seminars. Just participate, whatever it may be. Just go on, and it will be get new ideas. And mostly the research we doesn't teach in our universities, right? So what they don't teach in graduate school. Usually when we are doing masters in Bharatiya, we don't talk about publications and we doesn't care. But it's very good now. I hear like in India, we should be 2 SCA papers to get a PhD graduation. So it's good to motivate them, because in previous they have some UGC recognized journals, means they just pay the money to somewhat unknown journal. There is nothing but just publish by and get the degree, but it's not good for a good researcher. But now it's good to at least 2 SCA and 1 Scopus publication. Is good move for researchers. So research is not nothing from the sky, right? So searching new things, searching one. So searching new things. So research ideas. So research ideas. So it should be an interesting and worth pursuing, and implication and opportunity cost. So don't look at the literature on soon. So practice to developing your own research motivation. So what the theme of research should be? It should be interesting and worth. And the main one, do not waste on the dead and dying topics. So I'm not doing great one, like nowadays the people are doing the very old topics. That's why I would like to give a trendy field in our people to make a livestock industry or animal science. So the PhD means if you have only 3 publications, it should be speak about what we are, who we are from your publications. So don't do the dying topics. So very old, that means there are a lot of publications on the topic. So it doesn't matter. You just include some new sections. So if there is some parameter, it means just include your new idea in that. Then doesn't matter. I don't say don't do that one. Do with new parameters. Do with new applications. If you have some biological application, do with some cancer application. Do with some in vivo cell line applications. Do with some in animal line. So like this I said, like, don't do the same thing repeatedly. So collect the ideas, and notes could be organized, this one thing. And editors and reviewers most common critical. So when we have a submit manuscript, what are the important things we should follow? So rehash the established fact, the insignificant research questions, and irrelevant topic, lower reader. So these are the criticism from the editors. So without peer review. So if you are an irrelevant topic in the choosing journal, they just rejected without any peer review, right? So that's, we should be focused on what we are aim and scope of journals. And steady design. So these are the criticisms from the editors, what I said. So we should make a hypothesis one. So we, in the introduction part, we should mention about our hypothesis. So what I'm thinking from this study, and biased protocol, and without control, they just reject it. If you are experiment have without control, they just ignore this one, and the lack of insufficient methods and poor experimental design. So these are some basic criteria of editors and reviewers. And the overall presentation of study design. So these are the picking a wrong journal, poorly write an abstract. So abstract should be explain what the whole thing would be. So we just show our abstracts, the whole manuscript. So abstract should be, if you are writing one day, the whole manuscript, the abstract writing should be on 2 days. So it's very important to show off them, to make the curious, because nobody directly go to your materials and method and your research. They first seen about our abstracts, right? And interpretation of findings. So inadequate discussion and unsupported the conclusion. These are the criteria to critical comments from the reviewers and editors. So you guys should make a follow the important things on your manuscripts. And how to overcome the issue of research paper rejection. So as my point, as I published around more than 17 or 80 papers, so how you think about how many rejections I feel that. So it's not going to be lose anything. We can get more experience on that. The proper planning before writing. So before writing, you just focus on journal. So that will be good idea to write the manuscript. Start the manuscript with your target journal. So limit the scope of paper. Don't be a MPTS and the language problem, target journal. So publication time. So these are the rejection, how we can avoid the rejection from the journals. And writing, so always should be a pen to paper, finger to keyboard. So it means just like nowadays we are just copy and paste in the PhD thesis and paper and all. But in our mentors in our country, they are using typewriting machines, right? For example, in my master's guide, Dr. Sashikala, she always said, I'm using typewriting for my thesis around 200 pages now. But now we are very easily copy and paste and everything. So don't do that one. So it means not pen to write. Just read every verse what in your manuscript. So that's the thing I was said, like pen to paper, finger to keyboard. You should know each and every word of your manuscript. And writing should be careful of plagiarism. So nowadays, if you are finding our SCA journal or SCA journal, they are very consider about the plagiarism. It should be less than 15% or at least 20%. With more than 20% of plagiarism issues, they simply return the manuscript, and it's not good for a good researcher with more plagiarism. Like plagiarism, it doesn't matter, repeated the words and all. So that's what I said, don't copy and paste and all. Just a rephrase and everything. Because we almost give more for publication, but replace our sentence, replace the paragraph and all. So it can be easy way to reduce the similarity index. And stop getting distracted during writing, because nowadays we are facing this issue. Don't, if you start write manuscript, just stop other works. So checking mobile, checking email, especially switching Facebook, don't do that one. Just at least whatever it may be, 1 hour or 2 hours, only focused on your computer do not distract it. And prepared outlines, focus outlines, not a grammar, and for the first draft or rewrite and everything. And writing should be, do not read too much during writing time. So before that, you just collect all the literature and start writing. And your title should be what it is the paper is there. That's the main one. And consists the word of abstract and motivation and relation to other works. The introduction, what in the introduction. Don't make a story, just one A4 size. It will be enough for introduction for a good manuscript. And materials and method should be 2 pages, it will be enough. And discussion should be interpretation of findings. Do not say, I got this result, he got this result. This some Bola et al. Getting this result, Ravi et al. Don't do that one. Do that interpretation of finding. So just discuss with the result. So I got this result, might be the reason began on this one. So like discussed with other researchers, that will be good way of writing discussion section. And as usual, like a reference should be relevant. Nowadays, there are self-citation will be more increased nowadays. Do not do that one. They are making more citation in text. I have the 600 citations on. They would like to make self-citation with like irrelevant citation with their publications. So, for example, I'm having publications in the field of biological science, like human genetics, animal nutrition, aquaculture, nanoparticle, and plant bioactive commerce. So I do not include my human genetics paper into the bioactive commerce. So it's a kind of irrelevant reference citation, self-citation. So that's why the reference should be relevant with your work. So if the editors finding this kind of issues, they simply ignore the publications. Have a bad remark in our name. It's not a simple thing. If you are nowadays the Elsewhere and Springer and Tyler and Francis, they have a one portal system. So they have a history about your email ID and your name. So if we have a more rejection rate and more remarks, it will be affect our academic career. So to be more conscientious what we are writing and what you are going to upload in the journal homepage. And dealing with the revisions, this is more important. The paper revision results, it might be accept, major revision or minor or rejection. So all the answers should be a questions concerned from the review. So if reviewers have some strange questions, do not get angry. Do not argue with those reviewers. So we should respond all the questions from the reviewers. Just answer politely, and proofread of is important. So this one, that's why I'm making. If they are asking any questions, means yes, we follow this your comment. Yes, we are following your suggestions. Like this, politely approach the answers. Do not say, yes, I did like this, I got this one. Don't do that kind of way of your revisions. It will be not happy with the reviewers. They may be a reject again, or they may be go out of revisions. And dealing with rejections. So if your paper is rejected, don't get emotional, don't get depression, don't get anger on the computer, on the system, or on editor. Just leave it. Everyone get rejections. So abandon the article. So send without revisions, because sometimes they said unsuitable of aim and scope of this channel. Then just the return means just move on other journal without any revisions, or else revise the articles and send into other journal, and protest the decision and try to resubmit as soon as possible. So even like every noble array people have a rejections, so they cannot publish on single chart. So if you are publishing one paper, it's faced at least 3 or 4 journals and previously. So that doesn't matter of rejection. So submit the paper to another journal within a month, not within a month, within a week or within a day, doesn't matter. So don't have a revised paper every time. So we don't need to do revise the every time rejection, but there is a command of 4 times or 3 times. We should find out the problem. What is maybe if 4 or 5 times if rejection means there is some problem in our manuscripts. Then you guys go to find out the issues on your manuscript and go to, because sometimes the same group of researcher will get the referees on the same journals. and revising rejected papers. So this is what I say, like delete or hide the reference to undesirable potential referees, and mostly editors select reviewers from your reference. Sometimes we have to suggest the reviewer list, right? So we can do it that kind of favorably, and do not show when the paper was first written. So because it take too long time. If we have like I published on my master projects now last year 2018. So I didn't do show of I did on 2000, I did on 2002, and I did on 2003. So don't show on the when the paper was first written, and don't show how many times the paper have been revised. Do not show to other channels. So always revise the reference with current scenario. So if you have writing the paper and communicating with a long period, so just revise every time with the reference. So add the refund reference and temporarily avoid the journals with consistent rejects papers. And the research, so finally the research ideas can be generated by everyday life experience. So discuss with our colleagues and friends and professors. And planning is more important to publishing, and develop writing habits to not get distracted. Revise the paper and calmly deal with rejection. And maybe these are some the familiar job seeking website in South Korea. Maybe Professor Raj explained this one. So it will be good to get, if you want to find out PhD or postdoc, maybe use like this one is High Brain and this one is Brick Bio Job. So it will always opening for researchers. But now it's not good to get travel with other countries. But anyhow, just keeping in mind with if you want to find out job channels, you can use this website. It might good. So thank you for everyone. So thank you for your present.
Thank you, sir.
Calmly present everything. So here I am. I think I took a long time. Might be boring.
No problem.
No, not at all, sir.
So
Thank you, sir.
Contact and all. And if you have any queries, always pleasure to contact me anytime. No problem. Even if you have students, do not hesitate to contact me. And you can freely email me anytime. Whatever you need on the academic side, helps in anytime. No problem. So thank you, ma'am. So thank you, Professor Kamalakanan, and thank you,
Thank you,
Professor.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Excellent presentation, sir. You have exclusively expressed your efficiency in the field of food resources and animal science, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Participants,
Madam,
you have any questions?
Madam?
Sir?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can ask to the keynote speaker.
So, very good evening. This is Jayapriyan from CS in Botany, University of Madras.
Good evening, sir.
Very good evening to everybody. So, first of all, I would like to congratulate congratulate the organizers the way they organized, and they are very prompt and they are very keen on the lectures and all those things. And I can witness from with giving a small example by selecting the presenters, the lectures. All the lectures were really good. And secondly, I would like to personally appreciate the presenters who have really real intention on empowering the students. That shows their passion on their research. So for that, I have to appreciate the presenters. And coming to the query, I have a small clarification regarding the present session. Dr. Bala,
Yes, sir.
actually, I have a small clarification. You can take this as a discussion since it is an inquisitive question or query.
Yes.
Actually, did you, first of all, moreover, I have to give a disclaimer because I have disconnected for a minute or for 5 minutes because of poor internet connection. So whether am I right or not, I don't know. But anyway, did you do any bioavailability study for enhancing the growth promotion or sustainable growth promotion of this livestock?
What do you mean that the bioavailability means like the product before starting? You are asking you did any in vitro analysis mean?
No. Just I want to because whatever the nutrients that taken inside to your body,
Yeah, yes.
that stays for some time, no? So to
Yeah,
give
yeah.
the essential antibiotic
Yes.
action as well as the nutritional ways and all those things.
Yes, sir.
So did you take part in that aspects?
Yeah. Of course, we did before starting the animal experiment. We did all the in vitro analysis with the swine tissue cell line, as well as, for example, before starting that mycotoxin sequestering agent, before start with animal study, we did with cell line work as well as in vitro antifungal activity simply, and we did how much the reduction rate will be happen. So always the feed additives, they are analyzed before animal trial. They did all the bioavailability study before that. Without
Because
any
that
in
is
vitro analysis, they're not allowed as a feed additive.
a second thing. Actually, I have a suggestion on towards your research. Since it
Yes.
is not
Yes, sure,
mandate,
sure.
I mean, it is not our own research. But however, I have a real suggestion towards this thing. Because
Yes.
if you concentrate on the nano formulation of nutrients, so
Yes,
that
sir.
it definitely it will increase the
Yeah. We
bioavailability as well as the sustainable growth.
yeah.
I
Actually,
think
I
the morning
planned the
session.
next year project will be the nanoparticles as a feed additive. So we are focusing on the cytokine cortices nanoparticle with feed additive. To
Yes,
focusing,
yes.
that's what I said. I'm using the encapsulation of feed additive. So
Yeah. I've seen in one slide that you have made the micro encapsulation.
yes, sir.
If you forward more, if you go to nano encapsulation, means
Yes.
definitely it will help you in
Of
that
course.
research. It seems
Yeah, thank you for
that
the
is what
suggestion.
my.
Yes, sure, sir. Thank you so
So
much.
on the whole, I appreciate the organizers as well as I didn't mention the name. The entire crew members I appreciate, and for the well organized webinar.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much,
so much.
sir. Professors, any other questions? Professor, any other questions?
So if students have any questions, just let me ask. No issues.
Professor, any other questions?
So do not hesitate. Just ask whatever it may be. I can if you have
Okay,
any
okay.
suggestion.
No problem, sir. Madam, VetriSelvi, madam.
Huh? Okay,
Yes,
sir.
madam.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Now we can go to the.
Now I invite Dr. M. Selvi, Associate Professor, Department of Botany from Sri Adiparasakti College for Women, Kutralam, to deliver the vote of thanks to the keynote speaker.
Good evening. Good evening to one and all present in the webinar session. And first of all, I would congratulate the organizers for giving a nice webinar to students and other fellow colleagues. And the 4 sessions are excellent, and the resource persons are very expertise in the field. And also today, the last session, Dr. Balamuralikrishnan highlighted about feedstock production for pig and why soya meal is a rich diet, and alternative, how to enrich the alternative sources through antibiotics as a feed supplement. Then winnowing problem he highlighted. Then finally, he also highlighted research ideas for becoming researchers in various aspects. I think he make an awareness to the youngsters to shine the research area, especially in the life sciences, for the betterment of society. So finally, I thank to the resource person also, and also the organizers, and also the NGO organizers like Aruni NGOs also I thank. And also finally, I add out 2 questions also. What is phytobiotics? What are the resources you have used? And the papers, Sargassum myriocystum you have published, feed stock supplement. What is the recommended level you find out? These two questions I had. So this will be discussed through email or other things. So finally, once again, I thank to the organizers. Thank you.
So what are the exact questions you asked about? What is phytobiotics, right? Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, sir. She asked about phytobiotics.
Right.
What is meant by phytobiotics?
Yeah, phytobiotics is nothing like a plant product. So like probiotic and prebiotics, we known as like symbiotics, right? So symbiotics means they're combined one. So phytobiotics is like a herbal products. So nothing more than that. And the another question from the publication, I didn't get the question. What's that? The next question was, I didn't get.
So second one about your paper publications. You are publishing a paper about supplementation of feed additives, Sargassum myriocystum. Shown on paper.
Yeah. The
Sargassum myriocystum. It's an alga.
Yeah, the marine alga. This one not.
Yeah. Since I am interested to do in marine research.
Yeah, sure.
What is the recommended level you have to find out?
Just a minute.
Especially for poultry and
I just
pork
want to know which
feed
paper.
additives.
Which one? Should be around in the poultry means we didn't go for more than 2% or 3% itself. It's based on the cost of product itself. Usually we decide the activity, but nowadays the sum of algae we can get a very cheap rate in our like 1 kg 5 rupees or 1 kg at 10 rupees, something like that, from our southern part Mannar areas. Those kind of algae in high nutrients means we add 10% or 50%, because I did one of poultry trial in Pachepas College, similar the way, because the cost of algae it's very, we can get very in the low cost. So that's why we just reduced all the feed cost and we just include around 10%. But normally in the livestock industry, the feed additives not more than 1 or 2%. But it's highly depends on the cost effective. But I couldn't know which one you are asking, because the dietary polysaccharide, this paper. Maybe just please send an email, ma'am. I will find out that your answers and get back to you.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah.
Madam?
Sir?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
I hope you get it, ma'am.
Selvi ma'am?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, madam, you got it. Kindly send it your one mail, madam, to the professor. He can respond.
Hope your doubt got cleared, ma'am.
No, what is the recommended level he has found
Madam,
out?
you can send a mail after some time.
Okay.
He will respond.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I can find which manuscript you are asking. No?
Okay. Oh, you shown the articles in the slides. Based on your slides only, I asked the question.
Oh, really?
Okay, no problem. Carry on.
Okay, ma'am. I will find it out and let me back to you.
Okay.
Right, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Now,
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Now I request Dr. VetriSelvi, madam, to give this validity address. Please, madam.
Yes, sir. Respected Chairman of Aruni International Research Foundation and principal of Queen Mary's College, keynote speakers, distinguished professors, faculty members, and all participants from various places. Good evening to one and all. It's my privilege to deliver valedictory address for this 2 days international webinar. For this, first of all, I must thank Chairman, Aruni International Research Foundation, and Principal of our Queen Mary's College for giving us this great opportunity. I must thank Head of the Botany Department, Queen Mary's College, Dr. S.Karpagam, for her constant support and encouragement for organizing this webinar. And she always motivates and enthuses me in all my efforts in my career. On behalf of the participants, I thank the keynote speakers, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Latif Abubakar, Senior Lecturer, Department of Applied Science and Technology from University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, as presented on the topic Evolution of Molecular Approach in Wildlife Research and Conservation. Dr. Muhammad Kamarul Zaki Mustafa, Dean, Department of Applied Science and Technology from University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, as presented on the topic Recent Trends in Biosensing Technology, Immunosensor. Dr. S. Arukiraj, Assistant Professor, Department of Food Science and Biotechnology from Sejong University, South Korea, as presented on the topic Synthesis of Nanoparticles and Biomedical Applications. And Dr. Balamuralikrishnan, Assistant Professor, Department of Food Science and Biotechnology from Sejong University, as presented on the topic Food Resources and Animal Science, Alternatives of Antibiotics. For their excellent presentation, all the 4 sessions were really interesting, innovative, impressive, educative, inspiring, and relevant to current scenario COVID-19. We indeed enjoyed every session. And I thank the faculty members of our Botany Department for their support. My heartfelt thanks to Dr. Srinivasan, Associate Professor, Department of Mathematics, Annamalai University, for the technical support towards this webinar. Further, I thank Dr. Kamalakannan, Organizing Secretary of this international webinar, the CEO of Aruni International Research Foundation, who accompanied with me to conduct this program in a successful manner. Finally, I thank all the participants for their tremendous support and appreciation towards this 2 days international webinar. Thank you very much, and I wish to see you all again in our future events. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.